I have had a couple of people ask me about Omicron. They feel like they're getting mixed messages out there. Totally get that. So I thought I'd record a quick video to give you the summary of what you may have already widely seen and how it potentially connects with what you're hearing. So, on that note, I have to stress that it is just a running commentary on social media presentations. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not proclaiming to be or trying to give you medical advice. That's not the intention, and it shouldn't be taken as such. My qualifications are naturopathy, herbal medicine, and nutritional medicine. I won't go outside the scope of my practice, and neither should anybody else. Whether it be my videos, anybody else's videos, or Koshi on Sunrise, everybody should stick within the scope of their practice. And as an individual watching this stuff, anything to do with your health, you should get informed and then make a decision that you believe is right for you. That's the basic ethics surrounding healthcare, in my opinion. So that disclaimer done. Omicron. So there's been many different variations of this COVID virus. I mean, people are well and truly aware of the alpha strain coming out of China, the Delta having been found in India, and then the Omicron now coming out of South Africa, particularly the Gauteng province. So there's been many strains. So why are these ones of significance? They're notable because of the degree of variation in how they are presenting, either in testing or how they're behaving when they interact with people. So Omicron specifically. So it was found in Gauteng province through routine screening. You have screening of sewage and you have screening of people going into hospital, and they're two good things to note, because initially there was huge viral load inside of the sewage, and then what was surprising for the Gauteng province is that they weren't seeing it translated into the number of people that they were seeing in hospital. So they knew it was in the community, but it wasn't presenting in the hospital. It just keeps getting better and better for Gauteng along the way, now that we're over a month into this for them, that when people were presenting to hospital, they were being tested there, and the number of people that they were seeing were being tested, there was 76% of the people who were there for other reasons. They weren't there because they had the virus, which is really encouraging. And of the people who then had the virus, the number of days that they were staying is greatly reduced. Not only were they not needing the intervention to the same degree as they were seeing across the last 18 months with respect to ICU and oxygen and the likes, they were seeing that they were staying for less shorter stays. So to give you an idea, I believe over the last 18 months it was about 8.5 days was the average stay in a Gauteng hospital. Now it's down to something like 2.3. Okay, so why is this just not great news? Why do governments have to be cautious? Why do we not know what to expect just looking at that? So you have different situations around the world. So the extremes would be that you have the Gauteng province, where it's just got less than 1 in 4 people. So less than 25% of people are double vaccinated, but they have had a great number of COVID cases through their community. So the people who have got immunity is tipping towards the greater number of population who have had the actual infection and not had the vaccines. Whereas the other extreme would be Australia, where we haven't had very many people relatively who have had the infection, but we have 90+% double vaccinated in Australia. So you get different immune responses from the infection than you do the vaccine. So when you see countries in between, like you would have heard about the UK and the US, well, they're in between. You know, they've had a lot of infections, they have got a lot of vaccines, and then also a lot of people who haven't had either. So we've got a mixed bag right around the world. So what would be the that's why you're seeing different results and different advice. So the governments have to be cautious, because you can't say, hey, well, what happened in Gauteng? You can say, well, that's great news, but we don't know how this interacts with highly vaccinated populations. We can watch the UK and US to see what data comes out of that, but it takes a while to actually get that information to see what is actually happening to the different demographics as it goes through, given that Australia is in that unique position of low cases and extremely high vaccination rates. So that's why you would actually feel like you're getting mixed messages, because there is mixed results. One thing to note on a philosophical point in amongst this Omicron is that early on it was said to have had the number of mutations that it had, and hypothesized that it had gone through and emerged from a person who had HIV untreated and was unvaccinated. Now, we're all aware of how people who are unvaccinated and people with HIV have been demonized over the years, in the last year and then over the last 40 years with HIV. I said when that first suggestion was made, they'd back away from that pretty quickly if it turned out to be the godsend that we're looking for, i.e. a strain that comes through that is inevitable that it'll not be as severe, particularly when it potentially comes from somebody who will have been demonized by the populace globally for what they're carrying, but then they've, through their painful, like that person will likely die a painful death, but if they've then given us the gift of a highly infectious, low death rate strain of COVID, we really have to sit back and think about how we collectively judge people and their decisions. This person being a unwilling incubation centre may have just saved millions of people for having the conditions that they do and having done the decisions that they've had. So we'll never actually have that conversation, because there'll always be a narrative to push. But if that was to be hypothesised, which it was, and then we see the results that we are hoping that we're going to have, then that will be one for us to sit back and think about how we judge people moving forward. So on that note, have a great Christmas, and I'll see you in the new year.